Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frankie Olivo. Uh, this platform focuses on politics, our local government. We keep the community of Brownsville and our surrounding areas up to date with all the latest that is going on here in the great city of Brownsville. If this is something that you would like to be a part of, if this is something that you support, we encourage you to like this feed and make sure that you like and subscribe our YouTube page. Our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers until the end of the year. We do stream our platforms on Facebook and YouTube, so make sure you subscribe. We come on every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. And give you the latest news of Brownsville. Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. How did everyone enjoy their Cinco de Mayo? Unfortunately, I did not take part in the festivities. I had a busy day yesterday, and I just stayed home. But nonetheless, we did see people through Facebook. People were messaging us what they had for dinner. Friends from Florida were letting me know that the gringos over there were loving it. But nonetheless, Cinco de Mayo always brings out the Mexican culture and heritage. We're fortunate enough to be rich in tradition, history, culture, and the best way for us to celebrate that is like how we always do, right? Eat, and those that like to drink. I hope you had a happy Cinco de Mayo, but nonetheless, I'll eat tacos today. What else? What else? What else? Oh, yes. If you are a T-Mobile user, a T-Mobile member, make sure that you go into the app. It's T-Mobile Tuesday. You get discounts for food, hotels, travel, car rentals, a little bit of everything. This isn't a promotion, but hey, if you got the connection with T-Mobile, tell them to hit me up. Maybe we can collab. Today, ladies and gentlemen, today we'll be focusing on talking a little bit about what happened over the weekend. The main attention, the big attraction for many of us, was our local elections, and we've been covering the different races, the controversial arena, Starbase being incorporated, and all our focus, it seems, for the past year, 9 months, has been these races. But something occurred on Saturday, on the day of elections. Maybe it was done purposely. Something happened on Saturday during the elections that possibly, it has made the waves, but possibly didn't get your attention. Why? Because again, all our focus on down here in the city of Brownsville has been District 3, District 4, the at-large race, the venue. Everybody was very vocal about the venue, rightfully so. And the community came out resoundingly for the third time to let leadership in our county know that we as citizens felt that this was not in our best interest. So we can all agree our minds were occupied on this election. Well, many people are also talking about public education. This weekend, we saw how Governor Abbott did sign into law, giving the choice for parents to use vouchers. Many people are arguing and saying that public education is going to be severely affected by this. Governor Abbott did sign a $1 billion school voucher, which made over 5 million Texas students eligible for private schooling. This is one of the biggest universal school choice in United States history, because we are going away from a model that says one size fits all for public education. And who can forget President Trump? President Trump did back this during his campaign, and now we're talking about freedom. But critics, opposition, even school board, school teachers unions. I apologize. Schools teachers unions are saying that this is going to slowly bleed out these schools. What we have, and what we do want to make clear is that there are still a lot of question marks in regards to this. This is something that has been in the makings for many years. What I do want to relay to the community is that this isn't something that Texas is going to be the first state to venture into this new model of education. Texas, by signing this into law, is actually the 19th state, to open up and give parents options. What have we seen? And this isn't just a local issue. We could argue this is a state, possibly even the whole United States. This is a problem that public education has possibly not been impactful, hasn't really done its job. When we talk about education, what we are used to, or what I grew up personally, speaking for myself, what I grew up was a system that generated possibly a certain percentage in the 40-50% percentile of individuals that went to school, furthered their education, obtained a bachelor's, possibly a master's. Many people have argued and said that the model that public education, that the government has given us, has been something that hasn't been beneficial. When we look at testing, standardized testing, how has that benefited us? Who can forget, what was it, the No Child Left Behind? People thought during President Bush's tenure, if I'm not mistaken, this became the norm for individuals that possibly weren't able to pass their standardized tests. No Child Left Behind meant that even though you weren't able to grasp and comprehend the material matter, you were still going to advance, you were still going to graduate. But when we look at life after schooling, are we successful? Did those 12 plus years of public education prepare us for the real world? We here locally, what is said from teachers is that they are overwhelmed, that the curriculum always changes, possibly that they don't feel as if they have the support and guidance from either administration or even superintendents. And this is the norm. Many people argue and say, "Oh, if you listen to those teachers, you'll never finish, because all they do is complain and all they want is raises and all this and this and that." During COVID presented a lot of uncertainties for the whole world, but we focused on things that were happening within our local school district during COVID. And who could forget the teachers? They themselves, they were saying, "I can't do it. You expect me to teach virtually and in person, sometimes hybrid? I'm still working past 5 p.m. I can't help my my child with their homework. That is the first time, and again, this is something that possibly has been going on forever, that teacher morale is not the best. BISD is such a disgrace. Jason Moody helped push kids to take out their children and put them in charter schools. He was part of my decision to leave Brownsville. They're all disgraceful. I think what we're starting to see is that having options possibly is a good thing. Now, before I start with the message today, I don't want to seem as if I am pro private school. What we will focus on today is the advantages and disadvantages of school vouchers. I believe wholeheartedly that BISD is the right choice for our area. I have been fortunate enough to meet teachers, counselors, administrators that really care about the success of their students. There's no question in my mind that BISD represents the best option. The reason why we're talking about this today is that I want the community to know that competition is good. Competition is great. It's needed. When we talk about the open market, or maybe we're going into business a little bit, but when we talk about the open market, what do we see? Whenever there is a service, or let's say even a product that is unique, that there is no competition, what have we seen from that product, from that service? After a while, possibly they get complacent. Maybe we're not receiving the service that we're used to because they say, hey, well, we're the only ones. Who are you going to go to? So essentially, what the market does, it forces us to use only those services that are available. But what happens? What happens whenever there is options? Whenever there's other services, other products, what does that lead to? It leads to competition. It leads to that certain service or that certain product perfecting their craft, making sure that the service that they provide is done in a way in which is going to be impactful to the person receiving it, to a point to where they either recommend somebody or they come back to that same person. Me personally, I live in a customer service type of world environment. Me, as being an insurance broker, I help individuals with their health, life, home auto, commercial concerns. And many, I would say, geez, 60 to 70% of my job is customer service. There's many issues that these individuals are facing. There are many changes year in and year out. When we talk about auto loans, man, that's the phone's ringing left and right. But what happens when I don't adhere to their needs, when I don't adhere to their wants, when I don't answer their phone calls, when I'm not there to solve their problems? They're going to go to somebody else who will. But do we have the benefit of having options, as Ashley from Brownsville is stating? Has our local community been disenfranchised with our local school district? Is corruption rampant? Don't mind my grammar. Thank you, BISD, for having me prepared for the real world. It's important for us to recognize that competition is good. What we have heard from public educators and public education is that they're saying, no, 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 no. This is the worst thing that could happen. Governor Abbott, you sold yourself. You essentially are giving the rich people even more money because um, what this bill gives is options. Now parents will have the luxury of sending their child to whatever school they wish. Now they're not bound by a certain zip code or region or area. Now they will have a savings account per se where families could receive up to $10,000 to send their kids to whatever school they'd like. The state of Texas, as of right now, and this is going to start in 2026. As of right now, for that year, Texas has allocated $1 billion for the first 2 years. But as we all know, this is going to skyrocket the cost from 1 billion to possibly even 5 billion in the very near future. Some people are questioning and saying, hey, is this going to affect our taxes? How is this going to benefit me moving forward? When we talk about education, can we say that the school district has been producing producing students that are ready for the real world? How do we compare to the likes of charter schools? And that is something that we have seen. How so? Well, when we talk about the Brownsville Independent School District, we have seen how the enrollment rate has been steadily. We could make the argument that it's been declining at a rapid pace, a very rapid pace. I remember when I first wanted to run for BISD, this was possibly in 2012. I actually met with some folks that said that they would support me at that time. And I was so green to the idea and even the logistics of the school district. At one point, we had over 50 plus schools in operation. It cost the district at one time $1 million to operate and keep the lights on for 1 month. In $1 million a day. In 1 month, it cost $30 million. Our enrollment, if I remember correctly, was at 50,000, high 40,000s. Now we're border 2030, high 20s, low 30s. What guarantees do we have moving forward that we as a school district are going to be able to compete? Now, is this the case? And there are several parents in the chat today. How do you feel about this issue? Would you like the option to send your child anywhere? Now, here locally, what we've seen has been how charter schools, IDEA, and St. Joe, how they do a great job of sending their students to receive a higher education. I dare say that the conversion rate or the percentage rate that IDEA has thrown out is that 95%, and I'll even dare say 98% of their students enroll into a 4-year college, 4-year education. They drill the idea of you continuing with school after graduation. IDEA sets up field trips where they go to UT, College Station, Incarnate Word, Rice, Waco, and Baylor. Prominent, prestigious universities. They give these children at a young age the idea of saying, hey, I could come here. And what happens whenever you drill? They say that whenever we have a goal, the best thing to do for us is write it down. Write down your goals, whether that be New Year's resolutions, any personal or professional goals that you may have. Write them down. I have 5 goals for this year. Put them on your refrigerator. Put them on your door. Put it somewhere to where you're gonna see it every day. And what happens? You're gonna speak it into existence. I want to buy a car, so I can't go out. So I need to save this amount of money in order for me to put certain amount down, and then I'll be able to pay for it. I want to lose weight. Okay, I can't eat so many carbs. I got to lay off the bread, lay off the pastas, and focus more on greens, focus more on fruits, focus more on salads. We can all agree to that, right? Well, that is what IDEA does. IDEA instills in the minds of these children that, hey, we're taking you to these places because eventually you're going to be here. And they give that child an expectation, a hope of them going to college. St. Joe. St. Joe does a great job. They do a great job of sending their students to Ivy League schools. It's impressive to see students from Brownsville, from our area, going to the likes of Notre Dame, going to Columbia, to Yale, to Brown, to Harvard, Stanford, to UT. It's a big deal. How is it that these private schools and charter schools are pumping out college ready students while our public education hasn't? Now, I'm not here to say that, the school district does not send their kids to higher education. No. And maybe we are at a disadvantage because when we talk about the numbers of St. Joe that has a enrollment of 500 as a whole for their whole school, and possibly, well, IDEA now IDEA is becoming the monster because I think collectively they probably do have more students than BISD, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But IDEA has now become the institution to go to. And when we talk to teachers, we hear that they have a very rigorous schedule. At one point, and I applied to IDEA over there. What is it called? IDEA, the very Frontier, the very first one by Lopez. I applied at that when I just got out of college. And I believe they told me that you have to be ready to work 24 hours a day. Are you willing to do that? I think they gave them cell phones if they still don't. They give them cell phones to where if the parent ever had a question in regards to homework or behavior, they could contact the teacher. The teacher was, I don't want to say forced, but she was expected to answer that phone call. But again, what are we seeing currently from our public education? Currently, right now, what I'm seeing is that many people are saying that Abbott has sold out our public schools. But has it been to where we have seen a dip in enrollment because of corruption? Is the size of our school district getting to a point to where it's so rampant that our community is fed up with it? Because at the end of the day, and again, Texas is the 19th state to follow into this freedom of options for parents. And what have we seen from those states that have implemented school vouchers, that the students that use these school vouchers They're likely to graduate high school. They're likely to earn a college degree. Now, again, when I went to school, if you graduated from high school, to my grandparents, man, you made it. But then my generation was you have to graduate high school and then you have to graduate college to earn a competitive wage. And during my generation, the market for professions was education, become a teacher, become a nurse, something in medical field, and also go into tech, do coding, do something with technology. Because back when I graduated in '05, ooh, damn, 20 years coming up. It's been 20 years. Damn, I'm old. But when I graduated, that was the norm. That was the market for to earn a decent living, to provide a good quality of life for your family. Now, in today's world, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, in today's world, a GED, a high school diploma, does not get you much. Today, a college bachelor's gets you in the door. You'll be lucky to make 30, 40. But is that amount even enough to provide a good quality of life for your family? In today's society, in today's world, we need a bachelor's, a master's, heck, and possibly even a doctoral degree. Now, there are professions such as engineers, architects, um, if you're a contractor, plumber, electrician, possibly you don't need that higher education. But now, in which the world is turning into all tech, now we need these students in our classroom. And when we talk about the school district, how is that going to affect us? Again, what I want to stress is there's still a lot of uncertainties. We still don't know exactly how this is going to work, because at the end of the day, we do have other states that we can model ourselves by, but Texas is just starting. So there are going to be a lot of changes, and there are going to be um, a lot of uncertainty moving forward. But I don't want to have you all stress. This is what BISD needs. We need competition because our current leadership and our former leadership has not proven to us that they have what it takes. The model that we've been using on public education, for whatever reason, for good or bad or worse, is not working. If we look at the BISD, the Brownsville Independent School District report, the annual financial report uh, on the standings of the school district. This is from 2024. Um, uh, Based on 2023 that was completed in 2024, we are bound to receive a new comprehensive annual financial report for the school district in the very near future. They release these reports for transparency purposes every June. So we are a months away, so to speak, from the release of the 2025 annual report. But based on the numbers that we have been given so far, if we look at the monies that is allocated from the state, is this cause for concern? Here we see how BISD received their revenue, the source of revenue from the different streams. Grants, 4%, investment earnings, 2%, other charges for services, operating grants, property taxes at 12%. But look at the big pie. Look at the yellow. State aid. Now, BISD is a $500 million entity. We see here how we greatly depend 65%, 66% of our revenue comes from state and property taxes. Have y'all heard lately what is being thrown out there about property taxes? Have we seen what Elon Musk has been saying as of late? Your Brownsville resident has been making the pitch to get rid of property taxes. Many people, and here us locally, how many entities do you pay taxes to? In Precinct 1, BISD, TSC, the port navigation. There's several. Many people have been saying, why do we pay taxes to the Brownsville Navigation District? What do they provide for us? Why do we pay taxes to the port? They make a killing. Why do we see increase in taxes from BISD every year? Property taxes are going up. Appraisals are going up. What have we been hearing from the world's richest man? That property taxes is something that's not beneficial. Maybe now that Starbase has incorporated itself into its own community, maybe now that's going to affect them, because at the end of the day, once they start planning and zoning and plotting and creating their world out there, maybe it's not in their best interest to pay high property taxes. And maybe Elon Musk has what it takes to whisper something in the ear of our governor and say, hey, maybe you want to relook at this. Times are changing, ladies and gentlemen. The old model of one size fits all that our public education and our government has given us has not been working for whatever reason. We have multiple. We can argue and make the case for multiple reasons why it hasn't been working. But should we scream and shout and complain? No. We should look forward to this, because at the end of the day, this is going to make us better. We're either going to sink or we're going to swim. And maybe that's not the proper that's not the proper analogy to use. Buenos días, Chelsea. Gracias por su cariño. Gracias por estar aquí entre nosotros. Espero que tengan un lindo día. Besos y abrazos. Gracias. Send some stars. Follow Chelsea. Send me stars. When we look at our school district as well, we recently got the school ratings from TEA. BISD previously was ranked an A. We're at a B+. Now, that is something to be proud of. That's a good score. But again, when we're talking about BISD, our expectations are higher. Our expectations is A+. When Dr. Sendejas was the super, A+. Heck, even when Dr. Rene Gutierrez, A+. And I think he even received that. No, I don't think they gave ratings after COVID. Did they? No, I don't think so. But should we be alarmed, worried about the school district falling in ratings? Again, us being competitive, we want to be at an A. And if we are those parents that are drilling our child into, you better bring me good grades. You better if you bring me anything close to a 70, boy, right? The parents always expect, hey, man, I provide the very best for you. You have no excuse why you shouldn't be learning and excelling in the classroom. You better bring me an A on that report card. Brownsville, we have a certain expectation based on our former leaders and administrators that have produced A's and A plus for our school district. Should we be worried, chat, about the school district dropping from an A to an A plus? Ms. Presa says BISD has corruption with the system, and it's not the teachers nor support staff. BISD on the verge of self-destruction. This rating is not good. There's a lot of uncertainties moving forward for our school district. How do you feel about our current leadership? Is this an issue to where many people are questioning those in power, those guiding us, those that are in the hands, that our children are in the hands of theirs to make the proper and wise choices for our future generations? How do you feel, chat? If you accept mediocrity, you will get mediocrity. Currently, BISD is not what it used to be. There's a lot of work to be done in order to put the school back on track. But again, competition. Isn't competition good for us? When I grew up, I was always drilled with, you have to be good. You have to be great at what you do, no matter what. You have to be prideful, because if not, someone else will and take your spot. And we can probably apply that to our everyday lives, in our work professions, right? If we do not provide the best service in regards to service, quality, performance, if we do not meet the client's expectations, you know what's going to happen? Hit the road, Jack. Competition pushes us to the highest level, of success. Now, parents now will be able to choose. I always, women, and possibly I probably shouldn't say this. This is a bad analogy. But women, what we've heard from them has been they want equality. Women want the freedom of choice in regards to what they do with their bodies. Their argument is we are not in agreement that the state government, that the federal government could impede me from aborting, from doing whatever I want with my body. There are those women that believe that way. There are people that believe that way, and rightfully so. To each their own, right? Can parents make the same argument? I want to choose how my child will be educated. It's kind of the same thing. And I know you're going to say, nah, te pasaste de lanza. But essentially, women want the freedom of choice. They want to do whatever they want to their bodies. Can't we make the argument that parents will have a choice? Now, this isn't saying that public education is going to go away. No. Is it going to disrupt the current model that we have seen? Florida, the state of Florida, what it has seen since they have turned and given the options to people is how their funding towards public education has not changed. Maybe teachers unions and the school board is up in arms against these vouchers, because at the end of the day, what they fear is money's being taken away. If the school district relies on 54% of state aid of funds, and if that slashes, how is that going to affect our operation, our apparatus, our motto? We're going to have to fire people. We're going to have to close buildings, schools. But what we have seen from the likes of Florida is that their funding towards public schools remained the same, and possibly even they received more. Now, Texas will provide kids with more eligibility. This idea will be better for public education. Competition brings out the highest level of success. That is what we deal with in our everyday life. It doesn't matter if you are an insurance broker, a realtor, a teacher, a construction worker. If you're not good at what you do, someone else is going to take over. That is the business model that the outside world has. That's the reality. And we deal with this in our everyday lives. If I don't provide, if I'm not there for my client, if I can't solve my client's problems, what happens? They leave. And look, rightfully so. In this profession that I have, I love it because it's something that we're always learning. Uh, we deal with Medicare, which is very complex. We deal with Social Security, which is complex. We deal with Medicaid, complex, funeral plans, auto loans, homes, commercial. Everything is very complex, and there's so many dynamics to it. But what happens? I have to adjust. I have to learn. I have to be great. I have to be better. Because if not, my client is going to go to somebody else that's better, somebody that's going to provide a better service for them. So, what do we expect? Are we saying, oh, public education? No, no, no. We don't want competition. Ah, no. We have to get our hands dirty. We got to get prepared because for what's coming is going to be very challenging. But I have all the faith in the world in our teachers and those in leadership positions moving us forward. We have to adapt. That's the realities of life, ladies and gentlemen. What happens if we don't adapt? Remember, one thing that I was very fortunate to grow up during a time in our lives where the use of technology was very important. I grew up during the dial-up stage where we were downloading from Napster, and everybody, not a lot of people at that time had a computer. I was one of the first ones. My grandpa, I thank God for being by his side because he was always very technologically advanced. So was Erasmo Castro. They're very ahead of their time. To me, again, call me biased, but I think my grandfather and my uncle are the smartest people I know. But again, I'm biased. But I grew up during that time to where technology, you had to adapt, you had to adjust, you had to learn. I remember hearing people that said, nah, that technology stuff, it's gonna go away, it's gonna fade. We don't need it. It's not something that's gonna be beneficial towards me. And now what do we see? Everything's technology. Most of us, we can't go anywhere without our phones. Imagine traveling to Wisconsin in a car without our phones. I don't know how the heck people did it back in the day when they had to open up those scrolls and stuff for directions. I remember we used to pull over on the side of the road. Hey, I'm trying to get to XYZ. Ah, si tómate este. We have to adjust. I was fortunate enough that I grew up during the golden age of technology when we went from dial up to Roadrunner and how that changed the game of downloading. And now we had more access, more music, more. It's all about adapting, ladies and gentlemen. While this is going to be, it's it's coming. It's already signed into law. So what are we going to do about it? We have to adjust. We have seen how Texas, being the 19th state, what have we seen from the other states? Our biggest comparison is Florida because based on size, even though Texas is huge, Florida is the other. California and Florida are the ones that we kind of mirror ourselves by. More Florida than California because California is a beast, right? But Florida, their public education, they're still funding their public education. They have seen their numbers go up. They have seen how competition has been good for public education, for public schools. This is the new golden age of education. Now, like anything in life, we're scared of change, right? We're scared because we get complacent as human beings and we're part of this rat race to where we're just, oh, we get up 9 to 5. Oh, it's 5, go home, go to sleep, wake up, do it again. We're scared of doing something different, disruptive, creative, disruption and education is a good thing. Why? Because we have to improve our education in this state, in this city, in this country. Like any market, choice is the way to get the very best product. Now, the students that do partake um, in this program, they do. Did I go off for a bit? I think I spoke for like a minute or two, and I didn't realize I was down. um, Again, competition is good. Competition is great. We have to remember that we have to improve education, and like any market, choice is the best way to get the best product. That's the reality of life, no matter what we do it. So just to break down, we do have this going into law. It's already passed. It's going to be implemented starting September of 2026. We have to adjust. Our public education here locally has to be prepared for what's coming. Families will be giving $10,000 to choose private schools on the taxpayer dime. What is that going to do for private schools? Is that going to generate more income for them? Yes, of course. Will they allow? Because right now St. Joe only allows a certain people to get. It's by invitation only, or you have to apply. Are they going to open up their requirements for that? Uh, Most families, even though they're wealthy, they can't participate in this because, again, it's equality for all. STARS testing, this standardized testing that we've been uh, focused on for so many years, is something that's going to go away. What do we see here from BISD? That our high schools and middle schools are producing great numbers. We have some middle schools and some elementaries that are not producing the numbers that we expect, but we have to do better. That is my message to the community. While this Saturday our focus was on the elections, was on the arena, on Starbase becoming its own entity, its own community, Governor Abbott did sign into law student vouchers, which would allow the parents to have the choice to designate wherever they want to send their students. How does the community feel? I know there are many questions in regards to this, and we possibly don't have all the answers as of late. But the message that I want to send to you today is this is what's needed. This is what BISD needs, because for the longest time, what have we seen? Mismanagement, misappropriations of funds, corruption. How previous comments um, have been stating. BISD for the longest time has been the only entity here in the city of Brownsville. And what do we see? We haven't been producing. Currently, right now, there is the issue of the bond. Do we need a bond? Yes, 100%. Why? Because we haven't had those leaders that actually follow up and hold our CFOs and superintendents, current leadership, accountable by saying, we built this year. How are we with improvements? Have we done anything to improve? Why is it that now we need to go out? The issues at BISD is always the same thing: repairs, maintenance, HVACs, refrigerators. That is something that it's always happening, always breaking down. Is this an issue to where people are benefiting from this for always having the problem of these issues, and BISD is a blank check for them that always gets to dish out? The eyes, all eyes are on public education. How are we going to react from this moving forward? Do we have proper leadership in place today to guide us into the new age of student vouchers? Do you have confidence in your current school board? How do you feel about a bond to improve our maintenance and facilities? We need a bond. If we want to compete with the likes of Elon Musk, who is going to open his school at Astra, it's going to happen. We need this bond because of current and former school board members who have not done their due diligence and being financially, fiscally responsible, as they always say. Instead, they just wasted the money left and right, charge. But did we follow up on what was spent? No. That is why, for lack of guidance, for lack of accountability, currently right now, BISD desperately needs a bond to fix all these facilities. Why? Because our former leadership, current and former leadership, has not done the task. It is Tuesday, May the 6th. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, school vouchers are here, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be implemented starting September of 2026. How is our current public education leaders what are they going to do to address this important issue? Competition is great. Supporters say that having the freedom is very important, while critics are arguing and saying that this will slowly bleed out public schools. But again, parents can control their child's education. They're no longer restricted by certain zip codes. Texas is the 19th state to implement this. Florida has seen that their public education, their funding has been good. Public education will be better. This is something that we need to adapt. The golden age. Right now, we are living during the golden age of education. While many are not receptive to change, disruptive, creative disruption in education is always a good thing. We have to improve our local education here in the city of Brownsville. And like any market, choice is the way to get the best product. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Tune in Monday through Friday. Good Morning Brownsville, 9 a.m. We stream live on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you tune in. Same Batman time, same Batman channel. Happy Tuesday. Hope you all have a great day, because I know I will be having one myself. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Have a great Tuesday. God bless.